Hello and welcome to the Great Minds Together podcast,
where we explore neurodiversity, mental health, inclusive practice and the lived experiences that drive positive change.
Each episode we speak with inspiring young people, parents, professionals and change makers who are shaping the world of neurodiversity, SEND policies and everything in between.
Whether you're a parent, practitioner, young person or simply passionate about inclusion,
you're in the right place.
So, with that being said,
let's get into today's conversation.
Hi, Steph.
Hi.
Thank you for coming back to our Great Minds podcast ahead of Behaviour Awareness Week and the launch of our 2025 charity ball.
Yeah.
Where you're going to be singing again.
Yeah.
And speaking.
Yeah.
Which was amazing last year. It was so inspirational and we've got so many exciting things that we're going to be doing over the next 12 months, which we'll touch on throughout this podcast. So everybody knows myself and Lucy, and we're going to be talking, really driving awareness around behaviour ahead of our Behaviour Awareness Week and the reason why we do it. So we launched a campaign and registered a National Behaviour Awareness Week 3 years ago now, and this is the third one that we'll be doing. And we're going to be talking to Steph today around how her behaviour being misinterpreted and not being understood has impacted on your life. And I think the one that most people will recall is when you came out of the Big Brother house and the challenges that you found then. And obviously what was all documented, I know was completely misinterpreted. And unless you're kind of looking for it or understand it in the way that we understand it, you know, things can be portrayed a certain way and other people just read it and see that that's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
But actually the impact then on that person of that behaviour being misinterpreted and not really understanding the need behind that behaviour can be quite catastrophic, can't it?
Yeah, terrible. Like that was the worst time of my life. Putting a 23-year-old in a house like that, where you're watching 1 hour out of the day. The social experiments, they're putting you with people, matching you with people that you're not going to get on with.
No.
Blah, blah, blah. And that was like, that just finished me completely, that. Because I was so young and I couldn't understand what was going on and I didn't understand myself. And I was literally just trying to fight to survive and in the public eye and with stories coming out every single day in the press on top of it all. In the end, I was suicidal and I openly spoke about that before. Like I didn't want to live no more.
And you weren't fully aware at that time, were you? Around, you know, you've gone on a bit of a a lot of people hate the word journey, but it's what it has been for you in trying to kind of figure out why you respond to things in certain ways. And there can be a lot of misdiagnosis around depression and people becoming to the point of suicidal when actually it's unmet need or unidentified need, and you'd lived quite a lot of your life before you realised actually my brain just works differently and this is why I respond in these ways, or this is why I don't cope in these environments or these situations.
And I slipped through the net, so I just thought I knew I was different, and I used to think people could tell that I was different. That was like always ingrained in me.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I was saying it before, like sometimes I'd have an extreme reaction to what neurotypical people would have, but I'd try and mask it to try and make it socially acceptable, even though I didn't know what to do. And I take things quite literally as well, and I struggled to understand things. And looking back, I was just a baby, you know. Then you're coming out to the press in your life every single day, people selling stories. And back then, the stories didn't even have to be, you know, cleared. Like you could just call up, say something, they print it.
Yeah.
Then I had that trying to justify myself constantly. I've not done this. You know, I was being cheated on publicly. I went through domestic violence and mental abuse, and I think because I was vulnerable, and people know that, they can manipulate you, and then I'd be, you know, I believe that person, take it from what it is, and then something had happened and I go, I don't understand, and then
you're almost challenging your own thoughts then because there's somebody else, but also how you interpret somebody else's responses and behaviours is different to how, you know, a typical person would interpret them. And if you're vulnerable already as well, and then you're also struggling with your own identity and what people think of you, and then add the layer that's without all of the attention and the press and everything. It's just
a recipe for disaster, really. I was this young girl who didn't have any help, any support.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in the end, my brain just started to like dissociate. And then I started abusing alcohol. When I'd have that drink, it was like self-medicating. I'd go, that's what it felt like.
And it's the unjustness, isn't it? It's the unjustness. And I think people who are neurodivergent probably struggle with things being unjust more so.
I do.
Because I'm the same, and it really gets to you, and it's something that you just can't stop thinking about. And it's round and round and round, like, why would they do that? Why would they do it in that way? I would never do that to that person.
Yeah.
And you can't stop thinking, why
all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and because I grew up with my mum and dad and a really lovely, I never knew people like that could exist. So I always thought there's got to be a reason why someone acts the way they do, and I can fix that person and then blah, blah, blah. The hardest thing for me was to just accept that some people are just like that. And I know like time's gone on, people grow, people change, that's great. But yeah, it was a really difficult part.
And potentially like certain ways because of their own experiences as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then it's about learning that forgiveness, which is really difficult when you've been through such a hard time.
And you have to, because like you
Yeah.
said, people like us, the justification and getting justice, like I could not let it go, to the point it was years down the line and I was still resenting that person.
Yeah.
And there's no justified resentments. I had to think, you know what? It was a bad time, two very unwell people, two people thrown into an abnormal situation. People can judge, but you cannot judge someone until you've walked in their shoes and dealt with what you've dealt with. Mistakes were made, things went wrong, but you live and you learn. And I'm grateful for that experience, because I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't know who I am now, and, you know, what's going on for me and how to be a better person. And at the end of the day, who am I to judge anyone else? They're on their own journey. So I did. I found forgiveness.
Do you think, obviously, you've got your own awareness of your own sort of vulnerabilities, how you struggled, what you went through? Do you think there's any more awareness now publicly, so in the media and things like that, that if you were to go back into that situation again, you'd feel comfortable coming out, that people go, I can see that's definitely struggled there, but I wonder why she struggled?
Yeah.
Do you think there's more awareness of that in the media and the public yet? Still not there?
I don't think enough yet. No, I mean, I think it's getting there. It's very, very slow.
It's definitely getting there, and it depends what circle you move in as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that we're still in a very judgmental society, and the expectations of people are very high, and I think it's about trying to lower our expectations of other humans, that actually
100%.
what is it that they're dealing with and what is it that they're going through as a result of them behaving that way. And if more people thought like that, there'd be less arguments, there'd be less fallouts, there'd be more understanding. It would be.
It's everybody's first time in this life,
is,
and you've got to enjoy the time you've got.
Yeah, I found that as well. Like, it was very easy for people to point a finger. Now, say when someone's pointing a finger, there's three pointing back, because in this life you have to say yes to be able to say no. So I've had to go through all that to learn to go. Ultimately, that's what life's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
No one is going to go through life absolutely perfect.
No.
Like, tell me one person that's never made a mistake, glided through life. So why are we judging people for all the mistakes they made? At the end of the day, you grow from your mistakes, don't you? That's how you learn.
And that's how we're raising our children. You might go to school, to a party, out with your friends, and you might do something that you think, I probably shouldn't have done that. Or maybe you don't realise you shouldn't have done, and something comes off the back of it. For them to be confident that I can go and tell someone, and they're going to go, that wasn't a great decision and this has happened. However, it's done now. How can we fix it? What have we learned from it? How can we move forward?
It's very cool.
You know, I think we need to be able to educate children.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I'm trying to be like that with Caven as well, because I was so scared as a kid when, you know, if any fellas were doing anything wrong, and they used to write letters under my mum's pillow and everything, it'd eat me up. But I know that from what I've gone through, I'm a really good mum.
It shaped you as a parent.
I am. I'm a really good mum, and I know that he can come to me and tell me anything, and I'm not going to go, I'll go, right, okay, so what's going on for you? And okay, we all make mistakes, you know, like what you said.
Yeah, I've talked this year about my children have obviously gone back to school, and my youngest has struggled most years returning to school in September, even after a week off school going back. And each year I've worked really well with the school. They've been really good with him in understanding how he's feeling, why he's feeling, what can we do to make it easier for him. We're not worried about what the policy is right now, which step on the behaviour plan he's on or whatever. what's going to make his day easier to return. And he's gone back in this year. He's tried wearing school pants for the first time rather than jogging bottoms. He's gone in. There's been no tears. There's been no worry. He didn't want to do his transition day because he felt confident just walking through the door. And, you know, going into year 5, that's quite a number of years. But we've done it in his time, at his pace, with support from everyone, and it's worked. There's no reason why that wouldn't work for any other child, neurodivergent or neurotypical.
And that's one of the reasons why we kind of do the Behaviour Awareness Week, and we registered it for sort of back end of September, so that it gives everybody time to adjust in the new school year. But on reflection of how that's going for those, you know, first few weeks, what can we do differently now? Why are we in a society where we're just doing the same thing over and over again because it's always been that way, because that's the way it looks, because that's what a policy says? And actually, how do we need to do things differently in order to get a better outcome and a better response from the children?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of talk around attendance and behaviour at the moment. And I think there's potentially some movement from the government around understanding the need, because I've seen something recently that's been launched about different schools that are becoming specific hubs around being more therapeutic and more understanding, which I think there's a lady that's just been appointed to a role. I will get the name and we'll see if we can post the details on it. In fact, I'm going to have a look now while we're talking, because I just think it'd be really good for people to be aware of that, because it's something really positive and it just shows that there's a little bit of movement. And is that the new government? Because I do remember the last government were really sergeant major, and there was a lot of talk about behaviour, and we've got to be more sanction led and consequence led. And actually, this shows me that this new government are potentially more in line with that thinking, which is good.
There's so many natural consequences for when children, young people, even adults make these mistakes. They already know, usually, I've made a mistake there, I need to go and fix that. So that worry and that feeling is already there. So then to go, well, now you need to sit in a room on your own for an hour in silence because you've done that. I'm quite clear with my children's schools that it's not beneficial. You know, if you want to sit down, have a conversation about it, great. But to sit silent in a room in a detention is not, we're not supporting whatever the problem was, and it isn't going to fix the problem. So I think there's a lot of change to be done. And I think that actually what I've said for quite a few years is that naturally change will happen, as well as all of the things that everybody does to voice the change needed, because those young people that are growing up in this society are going to become those professionals in those spaces and naturally bring that view. So hopefully that's what's happening.
Jane Lowe, who's been appointed as the attendance advisor to the DFE. And I mean, it's quite a loaded article. Government to crack down on bad behaviour and boost attendance. I mean, that just triggers the life out of me, because where do I begin with just how that's written? And that's from the government website. So whilst we're giving a little bit of credit to them, they might need to kind of rethink some of the language. But ultimately, it says that she'll be working closely with the DFE, schools and sector leaders to strengthen attendance and behaviour practice nationally, and especially looking forward to supporting the launch of Attendance and Behaviour Hubs programme, helping schools share best practice and develop inclusive, safe and supportive environments for our pupils. So when I initially read the post, I was like, oh, here we go. And I was really ready to get on my soapbox. When I actually read her kind of explanation of it and about it being inclusive and supportive and the environments and acknowledging that, I thought, well, actually, that's a good thing, because at least there's recognition there. That's what's needed, rather than just stop behaving that way. Well, actually, how can we support you to stop behaving?
I've seen, attendance, various policies over my years of kids in schools, and it's always, the expectation that I can force my child, certainly once they get to high school, to get out of bed and go to school. I'm not choosing that they're not coming. I can't be bothered. We're going to go on holiday for 10 weeks and not come in, or I just don't want to get them out of bed today. They are struggling to attend for whatever reason. I cannot physically manhandle that child out of bed into a uniform and to school. If I did, there'd probably be repercussions there too. So I used to say, you can refer me to early help. That's absolutely fine, and I'll have those conversations, but there's nothing more they can do either. We need to work between you and my young person at this point. What's not working for him? What can we do differently? And just take a little bit more of an easy approach. As the next one's filtered through, things are changing and getting a little bit easier. So there are small changes.
Yeah, and I think actually if we the whole point of the kind of Behaviour Awareness Week is saying stop putting the pressure and the onus on the kids to do differently when they're still learning, their brains are still developing, and actually they're developing in a way that we don't really understand because we didn't develop in this way. We didn't develop in this world. We didn't develop with this kind of social media platform and all of the information that they're absorbing every day, and the instant, dopamine addiction to everything's quick and there's something that's making you feel good every 30 seconds. So we're dealing with a completely different cohort of children and different cognitive pathways and brain pathways that they form that we haven't formed. So it's really difficult for people our age and above to try and adapt to something that we don't know how to.
And we need to ask them. And I think now, actually, the young people that we are raising are able to say, I don't agree with this. Some of them certainly are, feel confident and have got that knowledge from probably social media platforms to say, well, actually, this is me and this is what works for me. And if that's how they're learning, I hear a few times a week something that one of my children has learned from various platforms. Sometimes I'll have to say, that's probably not real. That's fine. They do learn in that way. They don't want to sit in an hour's classroom while somebody talks at them, writes on a board. And, they want new, innovative ways.
Training in kind of with the workplace as well. They say, like, we're looking at doing some training programs that are the same in bite-size kind of, that's how people pick up information these days. And actually, you can't retain 3-4 hours of information.
I don't.
I don't. You just switch off. I don't. And actually, if you're also being made to kind of sit a certain way, not move, not have breaks when you want it, wear certain clothes that you're uncomfortable in. I always think as well about the whole makeup thing. When we were kids, it wasn't really a massive thing. You could wear makeup to school. You used to be, if you wore a bit too much, you'd get told off. But overall, all the girls were in the toilets at break time, topping up the concealer and mascara to make themselves look pretty. But now we've got a really hard line on that in a lot of schools where it's like you can't wear makeup. When we're dealing with teenage girls who are having breakouts, where the hormones are kicking in, where your appearance really matters to you, but it matters to you just generally anyway, but a teenage girl at that time of life wants to look good and feel good about themselves. And if you're telling them they can't look good and feel good about themselves, they're going to spend that whole day thinking, I look dreadful. Not going to be thinking about what you're teaching them in algebra. They're going to care about what they look like, how exposed they feel, how vulnerable they feel, and absolutely there's no learning there at all. But actually, if we just said, you know what, you can wear a bit of makeup, just don't overdo it like you're going on a night out, have a little bit of mascara, have a little bit of concealer, are they going to come in feeling good about themselves, ready to learn? Yeah, absolutely.
It's picking and choosing your battles.
Why not?
And actually, what's the effect on their learning?
Exactly.
Where's the negative effect going to come from? It's going to be from that negative feeling of themselves. Without it, if they feel positive, they're going to have a positive learning experience or a more positive one. And maybe they're sat in a classroom where that rule doesn't apply to any of the adults around them. They're thinking, well, why is that different? Because I'm a child, they're an adult, and it's different rules.
Children are showing a certain type of behaviour. It's not because they're being naughty, it's because they feel distressed, they don't feel safe, they don't feel secure. I used to find that hard, like you're sitting in the dinner hall and you're going to eat your dinner, and you wait there until you finished. But if you want to leave, you're in trouble now. Well, it's like giving that option. Well, can I go to a quiet space to eat my food? Like, do you want to go there, or do you want to, giving the person that option? It's just rethinking.
And some schools do, like, I don't know if your children's school have that option to eat dinner elsewhere.
No.
That's a bit quieter. So my children's primary school
I think you have to request it.
Yeah,
you do have to request it. And I think it can probably be quite rigid on who can and can't go in there. Then, otherwise probably have the whole school in there. But then how do we make that quieter in the main canteen? But there's so many children that need it. What can we do differently? I know we visited a property down south a while ago where they had gone into their dining room and made it really sound friendly. So they've got acoustic paneling in, they've gone through robust flooring, chosen different chairs that don't drag and make noise. Yeah. Really, really, really thought about
mental health
it. It was, yeah. And it was like silence. It was wonderful.
And it's like, uniform's a big thing, especially at this time of year when they're all trying to, adapt back to how after wearing comfortable clothes and, I mean, just before the end of school, my daughter is in high school and we had a really bad heat wave, didn't we? Or really good heat wave, however you look at it. It depends on the day. But it was boiling over 30 degrees and the majority of schools were saying, come in your PE kits, it's fine. However, for some reason, her school still expected them to come in the tights, because they're not allowed to wear socks, a 30-degree heat, with jumpers on. It wasn't until like 11 o'clock in the morning where they could take the jumpers off, absolutely sweating. teachers walking around in flowy skirts and no tights and, you know, lovely and cool blouses but yeah, you've got to wear your jumper and you've got to wear your tights. She came home that day exhausted. She was so tired from the heat of wearing tights all day. Did she learn one thing that day? I can tell you now that one thing went in her brain.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You got that call at 3:30, whatever,
Yeah.
to hear that injustice because she'd not been able to have a conversation with any adult in that school that day to say, I don't think this is fair. Could we discuss that and think about it?
Yeah.
Not available.
Yeah.
And how does that affect your learning? If a child's uncomfortable in a blazer, how's it going to affect the learning? What it's going to do is affect the learning the opposite way, in the fact they're not going to learn as much because they're more bothered about the fact they're uncomfortable in the blazer.
That's like Caden with his, I was saying the other week with his shorts and last winter, like he just
lived in shorts.
Lived in shorts, and then, you know, people were going, well, he needs to wear pants. It's fine. I thought, but it's not
why?
the meltdowns and the moments and like, I'm just going to speak to the
And
school
everybody's
about
body
it.
temperature is different.
Yeah, he's going in happy, ready to learn now. They're going in distressed, and he's like me. Like when he gets all upset, he doesn't even want to do the walk to school in case someone sees him. He's so self-conscious about himself and that. So, you know, he's got to school tomorrow. He's got his shorts, good to go.
It's that societal expectation of, like, my son's the same. He, in all the way through winter, will wear the thinnest t-shirts, the thinnest coats. Will be in shorts in November.
Yeah.
Because he responds differently. His body temperature is different to everybody else's, and that he's cool with that. He's quite comfortable. He's got options to wear big coats. He's got options to wear jogging bottoms, but he chooses not to. And then you get comments like, you need to make sure he's got a coat on. Well, actually, don't need to make sure he's doing anything. I need to make sure he's comfortable.
Yeah.
Is he comfortable how he is? Then yes. Then why are you bothered?
And we put pressure on ourselves as parents as well, don't we? Because, like,
what will people think? I'm letting my child go out in November in shorts.
Like, I am, exactly. And I am like, I hate going back to school. Like, Caden's going back to school and they're saying they can't have the school bags no more because they've not built the school to fit the bags in. So they need to get a thin school, like, school book bag that fits in the desk. But then people are saying, well, they've got the pack lunches, so they've got to carry the pack lunch, you've got to carry the water bottle, carry the coat. And then it's like, I'm overthinking that because I've not got one.
That's interesting, though, that little sort of perspective in the not built the school around school bags kind of fits in with what we're saying is they haven't built the school around children. They might have physically not built it around school bags, but, you know, educationally and socially now, they're not built around the children either, are they? Who want to carry a backpack of their choice and everything in it, so they don't have to carry 3 things.
We put too much pressure on ourselves as mums to then think, like what you said, are they going to judge me because he's coming in shorts? And, well, he hasn't got his coat, Kate, and hates wearing his coat as well.
Yeah.
They're thinking, oh, she's not got his coat on, it's bloody freezable. It's about learning to just step away from the norm, isn't it?
And just concentrate on your own little world,
Yeah.
what you need, what your children need. And is everybody happy and comfortable in how they're living, then that's fine. And I think schools could do the same. I've talked a lot about trying to teach in stage, not age, and, you know, having it a little bit more relaxed, like instead of going in a classroom and sitting and listening, what creative ways can we teach our children that's going to resonate with them, teach them what they need to know to have a good life? Are we teaching them content that actually is going to benefit their life, or are we teaching them pointless content? I mean,
Flute and algebra, likewise.
never used it in my life.
I would have loved to have had more like this and more things about myself, to understand myself and how to live in this hard world.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
There's definitely some of that feeding in now. But it's feeding in as a lovely cushy add-on. Oh, we should just do this, so we best do it now because people are talking about it. But it should be the core.
It should be the core,
of everything that they do. Yes, we need a baseline of, you know, your maths, your English, your science. You know, there's a lot of things there where you do need to kind of draw on that in your life. But then at what point do we go, okay, why do we want all our children to be perfect in every single subject? None of us are. What age do we think, actually, what's your passion point? What are you good at? What are you demonstrating via your behaviours that you're good at? Because, you know, my GCSEs were night and day. The subjects that I enjoy, I did amazing. I got 4 Bs in 4 subjects I enjoyed. Everything else that I didn't like, it just went downhill from there because I don't have any interest in all of those things, but I have loads of interest. I loved drama, I loved Spanish, I loved English, and I did really well in those subjects.
Yeah.
All of the subjects that I didn't enjoy, rubbish. So will children be more successful doing the subjects that they like and that they enjoy
Because they
and
know
that they're
really well.
on? But yeah, because they want to know it, And then that will in turn boost their confidence because they're not going to feel rubbish because of the other subjects that they're not very good at because they don't enjoy them. So why don't we divert at a certain point, teach them a baseline and go, right, what are you showing us that where your passion lies?
Yeah.
And then we'll have more successful people just generally in the world as a result of that.
I think my experience of that GCSE time was, although my predictions were relatively good, A's, B's, C's maybe, put me in that exam hall in front of a piece of paper and I was like, I don't really know what. I wrote my name and then just kind of, I didn't know what to do. I don't know what you want me to write. What do you want me to say? I completely lost it and just wrote nothing. So I failed everything because I didn't know. If someone had just sat down with me, just talked to me about, English or Spanish or languages or the world, I could have told them everything that I knew.
So interesting that.
But I can't sit and just, I don't ask them to write a report. I really struggle with that. I need help with that. I can give you the information. I was working with Kelsey a while ago where I'm saying this works really well because I can tell you and you can make it sound really great and put it on paper.
Yeah, I do that with Liz all the time because Liz will be like, I know you're not going to reply to an email because you've seen that's really overwhelming for you. She goes, just voice note me the answer to my question and I'll type it out. So I just voice note her and she just totally gets me.
Yeah.
So all of those things that are available in the world of work, why are they not available in school?
I was like that though with my exams. Like, I'm such an anxious person. My mind will go blank, but I know it all. But I'd fail because you sat there, all the chairs, people turning the pages, you're looking around the clock. I remember I was sat behind my best mate, Kath, and I went into panic and it was maths. I failed. I was kicking a chair, panicking, sweating, like really distressed. Go, please help me. And she's like, I'll just help you with one question. What is it? And I went, what's your full name? I was still on the front page and she was taking a swivel and she just battered out everywhere. And I was in such a state. They were like, you're getting kicked out of this exam. You'll have to sit in on your own and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's them settings as well, isn't it? Like,
the way
help the child feel comfortable so they're going to do it. I'm not good like that. No. So I did make certain notes on things, not to cheat like that, but I knew them already, but I couldn't think when I was in there.
And it's also memory retention, and some people aren't very good at that. I mean, just GCSEs in general, it's so archaic. It's always been the case. We're still doing it because we've always done it. That's why GCSEs exist. And like my son is really academic, really enjoys learning. He's an absolute sponge. He's 15. He probably knows more than me about lots of things because of how well he absorbs information. But he also recognises like how the pressure that's put on people who aren't as able for that. Going to a meeting next week, and I went to one last year, and the way they talk about it is like it's life or death if you do not do well in these exams. And I say to my kids, and a lot of teachers won't agree with me in this, but not one single person has checked or asked to see my record of achievement at all. Yeah. And for the 2 years leading up to the exams, it's like it's your whole life depends on it. Yeah. And I say to my kids, you know what? Even if you fail every single exam, so what? You're going to find something that you become passionate about, that you love, and you will become an expert in that area. So do not worry. Yes, do your best. I don't discourage education, but just do what you enjoy. If you enjoy it, great. If you don't, that's fine also.
And it's funny, isn't it? Sometimes our children certainly come home from school and say, wasn't allowed to go to the toilet today, but I politely said I need to go, and kind of I knew it was my right. I needed to go to the toilet. I had to go, and I come back, and then they told me I'd get a detention for that. And I followed up with, well, this isn't, the blazers. It's not really affecting my education, so I can take this off. And my daughter went on blazer strike for a whole year and just refused to wear it. But she was confident in that. She is confident in her decisions are right, and that is it. You won't persuade her any other way. But a lot of kids aren't. And my other three, my second one probably was as well. But the other two, the next two, just wouldn't be confident enough in that. And it's taken, my middle one's gone into year 10, and he is now able to say, I understand that's not going to affect my education, and I'm doing my best and I'm being polite, so I am going to go and do what I need to do for myself. So he will advocate for himself a little bit more. When I was at school, and probably you guys, it was like you listen to the teacher's always right.
Well, this is another thing.
That's the difference.
I'm honest. Like, so I've gone on my journey. I have delved so deep into everything. And I'm like, why have I got no self-worth? Why am I not my own person? Why am I so codependent? And it's because from a very young age, we never made our own decisions at all. So in this classroom, you told by your teacher, this is that, that's right, that's wrong. Oh, okay. I've got my own views. No. I did dancing. So it was like, I'm doing this. Is it good enough? Not good enough. Do it again. I'm waiting for somebody else to tell me that I'm good enough.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you're looking at others and half shape it as a person, for your daughter to be like that now, like, that just makes me dead happy. Like, good for her. I wish I had
we're
that.
sort of in a bit of a kind of arena where you've got this new cohort of children who are so much more wise because of how much they're exposed to. It's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. We are where we are. And they're looking at the adults in the education system going, hang on a minute, why? Why is that like the case? And the adults are trying to kind of still operate in the way we've always operated, and you must do, and because I say, but you know, and that's not the world we live in anymore.
No.
And the kids know that too. So you've kind of got a little bit of a push and pull going on here, a massive imbalance, which I'm loving because actually that's eventually going to take over, because these kids are then going to be the adults and they're going to go, actually, we're not doing things like that anymore. And it's going to be a better world.
And I'm still a good person just because I don't agree with your opinion.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted raising my kids was them to ever think they had to do anything just because an adult told them to. Now, I do talk to them about safety, as do teachers. You know, should you go and climb that high building? No, you shouldn't. Should you wear your seatbelt in your car? Yes, you should, because it's safe. Talking about things like that, obviously we don't need to go too far, but decisions about their own body and their own life, they should have some autonomy over if they have the capacity to do that. And, you know, when they're at an age that they can. And that's what we're saying about in school. You don't get to learn, when can I make a good decision? When do I need support to make that decision? You just told, you turn up here, my son literally crosses a big red line in the morning whilst teachers stand and watch them come through to make sure that they are appropriately dressed and they have this and this. I don't like that red line. That immediately starts off as a negative for me. There's a big red clock as well, big red digital clock, like, you're late, because everything's red, and it's just, that feels dramatic, doesn't it? Everything being red.
It's creating anxiety before the day
So
started.
From that point, you then can't make a single decision.
It's like you were telling me the other day about that. It's meant to be a therapeutic session to talk to children about the worries, and it starts off with, on the front of the booklet, a really angry child,
screaming child, like stamping their feet.
That's a great start.
And I just said, that's already made me angry. I'm not sure I like that. But our website is full of free resources. Use them if you want. But I don't like that. That doesn't make me start off my day with a positive thought. Because then I'm like, well, that's me, and that's what everyone thinks of me. That's how everyone perceives me, and we're just the angry kids. And it's not anger. The behaviour might be anger, but
frustration.
What's got them there?
There's scientific evidence that proves that detentions and sanction-led behaviour policies don't work. It just makes the situation worse anyway, and it also has a massive impact on the kids' confidence. So we need to do better. We need to think differently. We need to be more creative on how we're approaching things, and then adapting our approaches, adapting our environments, adapting the way we teach. And naturally we will see those behaviours reduce that we want to see. We will see attendance increase, because we've never tried it that way before. So you're keeping doing the same things that we've always done, and it's not changing.
Find a school willing to try insanity, doing the same things over and over and expecting a different outcome.
I think we must say that on every single podcast episode. So that leads us on nicely to talk about our new and exciting idea and campaign around a But Why podcast with you, Steph, which I'm really excited about.
Always.
Because we literally talk the hind legs off Donkey every time we're together about all of the things. And we were all out for dinner the other week, and the three of us were just sat talking like we have done on this.
Getting ready for back to school.
Yeah. And everything that we were kind of talking about with what our kids were experiencing or have experienced or what we've got to prepare for coming up is, but why though? But why though?
But why?
So we was like, do you know what? That needs to be its own podcast to talk about, to raise even more awareness and have specific topics, because we try and cover so much, don't we? In our podcast here, and the snippets of, but I mean, there's about 15 things that we've probably spoken about today that could be its own episode, but then also following up with how could we do things differently. So instead of sitting on moaning and whining and saying it needs to be different, I think focus on specific things each time, but then also making suggestions of how it can be improved, because everybody can moan, but let's bring some solutions as well.
Yeah,
and try and get some of those answers from some other professionals. But why is that a rule or a policy in your school?
But why?
Yeah.
Can't wait. Very exciting.
Help us understand.
And we're hoping that the first one will kind of be out around the end of September, beginning of October, aren't we?
Yeah.
And anybody that wants to get involved with that particular podcast, you can get in touch. And also, if you have any experiences yourself on situations that you think needs to be discussed as to why is that the way it is, then you can just email us. But that brings us to a close of that episode today. Thank you so much, Steph, for coming. And we're excited to see you at the ball. Can't wait to see you singing again. It was so emotional last time. We are having our charity ball on the 26th of September and some amazing awards for the amazing work that everybody does, and we can't wait to celebrate. Anybody who would like to pledge, we're raising money particularly for a uniform bank and food bank that we've set up this year, and our learning hub, which we're super proud of. So if you want to pledge anything, just go onto our website and there is a page for the charity ball, and there's various different packages that you can support families via on there, which is greatmindstogether.co.uk. I'll see you all again soon.
Bye! Thank you so much for joining us on today's Great Minds Together podcast.
If you found this conversation valuable, please share it with others.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
You can learn more about our work and resources at greatmindstogether.co.uk and follow us on social media for regular updates.
Until next time, keep celebrating difference and driving inclusion.